Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are tracking storms across the west coast today. So what we're watching for here is that flooding and that snowstorm hazard. So that's what we're watching for the most part today. However, we do have severe weather in the forecast. It just may take a few days to get there. So did you guys know that we had a 3.5 earthquake yesterday in California? Now we have that flooding and that snow on top of it. It's like they just keep getting hit with a hazard over and over and over. Meanwhile, the rest of the U.S. is staying warm before the storms that are arriving next week. Not just one, but two, maybe even three rounds of storms in the forecast here. We'll get into that here in just a few minutes. And of course, we have rain and snow with those storms, so that will also return next week. Over the last 24 hours, your storm reports, they look pretty boring. There's not a lot going on in terms of severe weather right now. It was more of that winter weather at the very beginning of this week, and then a gorgeous setup for the rest of this week. Temperatures, they were in the 70s and 80s for some of us this week, about 10 to 20 degrees above average for this time of the year. And that's going to continue, not only for today, but also for Saturday and Sunday for most of the country. Now, we still have some active weather thanks to a lingering, very stubborn, low pressure system up in our New England states. Quiet across the southeast, quiet across the plains, and a lot more activity across the west coast, where we have that atmospheric river that is setting up over San Francisco, Los Angeles, expecting to get over 6 inches of rain for some of us. I mean, very, very impressive rainfall totals here. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the west coast for not only that rain, but also that snowstorm potential. Temperatures in Oklahoma City in the 70s right now. Denver also in the 70s at the moment. All of this thanks to a high pressure system that's sitting just off the coast of Louisiana, just outside of Houston right now. What that's doing is that's pushing all of that warm air, giving a lot of room for this warm air to come into places like Oklahoma and Kansas and Missouri. We've got lots of temperatures well above average for this time of the year. But our next weather maker is on the horizon. It's bringing all of that moisture to the west coast today, and then it's going to move into the central portion of the U.S., weakening pretty significantly as it does so, bringing us that next chance for severe weather by the very beginning of next week, okay? So that's round one. There you go, round one. Right there. I want like a bell, like a ding, ding, ding. Round one, right there. Now round two comes shortly after that. We've got a low pressure system also setting up across the west coast, and that's going to be a little bit more impressive, staying intact with the jet stream for the moment. However, by the middle of the week, by Wednesday and Thursday of next week, it will detach itself from the jet stream, becoming that closed low right over Oklahoma, and that'll bring us our next round of storms. So that could be potentially severe. It will also bring the chance for snow farther up to the north, and then a lot of rain across the southeast. That's round two. Ding, 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 ding. Next is round three, which again starts off the west coast here. You can see once again setting up just outside of California and making its way to the central portion of the U.S. by the week of Thanksgiving. 1, 2, 3 rounds of storms expected in the forecast. However, we have to wait until next week to get there. Right now, no significant hail is expected. That's your forecast today. We're not expecting any severe weather for today. However, did you know we got a 3.5 earthquake just outside of San Francisco yesterday afternoon? Now they're having those flooding concerns and that snowstorm concern as well in California. To break down exactly what's happening here, we have meteorologist Michaela Smith. Michaela, tell us about the atmospheric river setup. What are the biggest hazards here, and what can they see as we head into the weekend?
Thank you, Taylor. I want to take us out west because we have yet another atmospheric river that is impacting the west coast. This time, though, the focus is all on California. You can see behind me, starting today, there is a level 3 out of 3 risk for the potential for flash flooding, and that's not only going to exist for Friday, but even as we head into the weekend, we're going to have to closely watch portions of California, especially down near LA, for the potential for flash flooding. So I want to break it down for you day by day. You can start off here with day one, and you can see that area highlighted in red. That does include Los Angeles, and that's going to be that level 3 out of 3 risk. But even areas that are included in yellow or even green still will have the potential for flash flooding this afternoon into this evening. Then we shift our attention to tomorrow. There's still going to be at that level 3 risk, so that's that top level 3 out of 3 areas highlighted in red, including Los Angeles for Saturday, and that's because we're going to see all the rainfall Friday, and then we have a second round of rain that's going to be moving in late Friday night into Saturday. Now with the second round too, the ground's always going to be a little bit more wet, obviously from the previous rainfall, but with this area highlighting the Los Angeles metro a little bit closer, we're going to have to watch for the potential for maybe mudslides or just flooding in the roadways, especially for areas that still have burn scars from the previous wildfires earlier on this year. Here I have a graphic behind me coming straight from the National Weather Service in Los Angeles. Now they have the timing that they're expecting weather to start to deteriorate or be the worst is going to be Friday night, Saturday, and into Saturday evening as well. Some of the impacts from this storm system that the National Weather Service of Los Angeles truly wants to highlight is with all of this rainfall, it could lead to rock slides or mudslides that could cause lane closures and backed up traffic. You're also going to have to watch very closely for the potential of creeks to start kind of overflowing out of their bed. Also seeing some of that water covering roadways that could lead to swift water rescues. It could lead to cars hydroplaning and having to stall out because of the water in the roadway. It also could lead to areas like we mentioned with burn scars having more of that flash flooding potential because the ground is not going to be able to truly absorb that moisture because it's a burn scar. You're going to see a lot of debris quickly flowing off of that, so that will increase the flash flooding risk in those areas, and then eventually that could also lead into creeks and stuff like that being overflown very quickly. So this is one of those events that you really need to stay weather aware for, because with the flash flooding potential especially, that can happen in just minutes. So you could go from maybe being somewhere that's dry to now all of a sudden you have a running river moving right through the area that you were just standing. Now with all this moisture moving in, it's not just rain that we're talking about, but quite a bit of snowfall that could also impact California. There are winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings now that extend from Reno down through Fresno all the way down to Bakersfield, because quite a bit of snowfall is expected in the Sierra Nevada mountains. You can see this graphic here that in some locations you can expect nearly 2 feet of snow possible. Now that's going to be way higher up in the mountains, so as you go further down in elevation, you will not see as much snowfall. Talking about maybe closer to 12 to 18 inches of snow possible, but that's still quite a bit of a snowstorm for November. Now we highlighted today and tomorrow for those rain chances, but you can see behind me, this is still going to be an event that lasts into Sunday and even Monday as well. So lots of rain still coming to the California coast as this atmospheric river continues to bring a ton of rainfall and strong winds to the region. We'll share any updates with you as they come in, so make sure you're following us on HailTrace. And I know, Taylor, we are also going to be watching closely on social media, especially to see maybe a chance to get those views of all that snowfall. If we see 2 feet of snow in the mountains, I know that's just going to be absolutely beautiful. It's just going to blanket the area in white. So really excited to see hopefully some of those pictures. Not very excited about this potential for flash flooding, so fingers crossed that that doesn't end up being too bad for the coast of California. But here back in the plains, we'll have chances for weather a little bit later this weekend and into next week. Taylor, I'll send things back to you to kind of wrap up this atmospheric river talk and talk more about our chances of weather going into next week.
Thank you, Michaela. Yeah, we really appreciate your report there, talking about, of course, all of that flooding that we're expecting across California, and then the snow that you get farther out to the east into the mountains. You know, they have a little bit of everything over the past 24 hours and within the next 24 hours as well. And again, all of that thanks to this low pressure system that's sitting just outside of California right now. It's feeding all of this moisture into places like Los Angeles and San Diego. And then of course you go up into the upper elevations, that moisture turns to snow, and that's whenever you get all of those travel issues and whiteout conditions that they're worried about, which is why we have that winter storm warning. We appreciate her report there, but let's go ahead and move on to that next chance for strong to severe storms. I'm actually going to take you farther out to the east. I'm going to skip through a few of these graphics here. That's all of the rain that we're expecting in California over the next 3 days. Michaela talked about that level 3 flood risk. Now let's head into the Midwest, because this is your next chance for severe weather. What we see here is a marginal risk. It's a low risk. It's a level 1 on a scale of 5. They're highlighted in blue. What we're watching for here are strong wind speeds up to about 60 to 70 miles per hour. Okay, so this is going to be, I didn't even include this in round one because I think it's going to be a very isolated and minor event. You're going to see some strong wind, absolutely, but we see this quite often. This is your everyday garden variety thunderstorm, or maybe a bit stronger, getting some strong wind gusts in there, but we've kept those values pretty low. What's your likelihood to get severe storms? Level 1 on a scale of 5. Let's go ahead and move on here. I'm going to fast forward through a few of our graphics here. I think you guys see me clicking that button. There we go. I'm going to show you that our storms tomorrow are pretty scattered across the Midwest. However, the rest of the U.S. will stay dry. You can see that line of storms that's moving down anywhere from Ohio and into Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and West Virginia. Let's actually zoom into that area because what you just saw was those storms first and then snow to follow. I'm not expecting a ton of snowfall totals here. You know, your snowfall total is not looking too impressive, but you could get some isolated, locally higher amounts with maybe some of that lake effect snow in places that are pretty used to that event, you know, just in New York and maybe in Pennsylvania as well. There's your risk for Saturday, so it's a level 1 as I mentioned earlier. For Sunday, we are severe clear. However, things start to change Sunday into Monday as we have that next chance for severe weather moving through. There you go, you can see that we've got some snow moving over the western side of Colorado and the western side of Wyoming. By early Monday morning, you could be waking up with fresh powder for skiing or maybe some pretty difficult travel conditions if you're on the western side of a few of these mountainous states. This will continue to move to the east, bringing us moisture across places like Arkansas, Missouri, eastern Texas as we head into the later hours on Monday. Now, this would be what I would consider round 1 for severe weather. However, I think that the risk for severe weather here for this one is pretty low. I've got low confidence that we're going to get a ton of severe thunderstorm warnings out of this. Low confidence at the moment. We will get some snow farther up to the north. However, we've got another chance for storms, and this looks a little bit more impressive, okay? So let's take a look at that map one more time. Let's go ahead and fast forward from Sunday. I want you to look off. Okay, so there's round 1, right? We've got a little short wave that's trying to move in, it's trying to create some sort of activity. But look off to the west. This right here, this is what's going to cause round 2. And that's going to come in Tuesday into Wednesday, looking a lot more impressive Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So there you go. There's round 2 right in the center of the U.S. What you have is you've got that moisture coming up from the Gulf. You've got that lift from this low pressure system right here. You've also got a high pressure system farther out to the east. What does that mean? That means warm temperatures. So you've got your heat, you've got your lift, you've got your moisture. These are all ingredients that we need for severe weather. So this setup right here looks pretty promising for some form of strong to severe storms next Wednesday, Thursday, and or Friday. Again, we're about 5 to 6 days out from this event happening, so there's no guarantee that that will necessarily happen. However, look once again back to the west. You've got another chance for storms. This is what I would consider round 3. That will then do the same dance as it moves into the central portion of the U.S. as we head into the week of Thanksgiving. What this is telling you here is not exact details on hour-by-hour timelines for storms. We don't have those details yet. It would be silly for me to show you any of those models because we don't know that information yet. But what I do know is that we're looking at an active weather pattern setting up not only next week, but also the week of Thanksgiving. Keep that in mind as you plan your travel next week. Keep that in mind as you plan your travel for Thanksgiving week as well. You could have some wet weather in your way. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at your future radar here. Here's a look at Monday. I talked about those showers, maybe storms across the southern portion of the U.S. You go up to the north, there's your snow. We're gonna do that same song and dance one more time by the middle of the week. You've got more snow moving off from the west and into the central portion of the U.S. Another line of storms that is trying to set up by late on Wednesday and early on Thursday across the central portion. So we're talking about Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri. This could continue as we head into Thursday daytime hours and then into early Friday as well. And then we'll see another chance for storms as we head into Friday and Saturday, maybe Sunday, maybe into the first week of the first few days of Thanksgiving week. Several rounds for storms here. In the meantime, we don't have any storms right now. It's going to be a nice day to get outside and enjoy the nice weather. It's well above average for temperatures this time of the year. Unseasonably warm conditions here. Temperatures are about 10 to 20 degrees above average. So what we're talking about here is maybe your average is 60 degrees. Your high is in the 70s today, maybe 75. I mean, it's a gorgeous afternoon. Get outside and enjoy that sunshine today. We're sticking around with these warm temperatures for tomorrow and on Sunday. But finally on Sunday, I told you things are starting to change. On Sunday, we're seeing that in not only our wet weather, but also our temperatures. It looks like it gets a little bit cooler as we head into next week, a little bit more fall-like, what we would normally see this time of the year. Alrighty, going into what are those exact temperatures? We're in the 70s and 60s today, an absolutely gorgeous day to get outside. A little bit cooler farther up to the north as we head into the weekend, but the rest of us hold on to those pretty mild temperatures all the way through Sunday. And then as I mentioned earlier, that's whenever the cool down starts to hit by Monday and Tuesday. And there you go, there's your forecast. What about the week of Thanksgiving, the 19th through the 23rd now? As I mentioned earlier, we have that high pressure system setting out to the southeast, and then we've got that low pressure system that's moving into the central portion of the U.S., basically splitting us up into half, making us pretty warm on one side and then cooler on the other. So that's what we're watching for the week of Thanksgiving, so just the first few days of your holiday week. And then of course, with that low pressure system comes that moisture as well in both forms of snow and rain. So we'll keep an eye on that. 3 different chances to see severe weather over the next 7 days. That means that we'll be very busy here at HailTrace, and we'll of course keep you updated on all of those severe weather updates. So whenever we have new information, you'll be the first to know on all of our social media platforms. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, or give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. Make sure that you get your subscription now so that you're ready for storms next week. Get familiar with the app, know how to utilize your tools so whenever storms hit, you're ready to go. Again, give us a call at 855-334-425 to get set up with a subscription, or email us at info@hailtrace.com or head over to our website, hailtrace.com. All right, thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and I'll see you back here same time,